I worked my dream job at ESPN for over 10 years. And for the majority of those 10 years, I had a leader who made me want to run through walls for her. And then I didn't have her towards the end of my ESPN career, and it almost destroyed me. And in that process, here's what I learned about the difference between a boss and being a true leader. When I started in production management at ESPN, I was assigned to the soccer team. My job was managing all of the logistics for our MLS games, the US national team matches, World Cups, Euros, and sometimes we're talking teams of 200 to 500 people traveling internationally for 6 to 8 weeks at a time. The job was intense. It was 24/7. It was high pressure. There were some big budget events and some egos involved. It is sports television. And on these events, everything that could go wrong eventually did. I mean, that's the nature of events. But somehow I thrived. And I realize now the reason why was because of one person. It was Amy, the coordinating producer of soccer. She was the face of soccer at ESPN. So she worked with everyone from the executive directors of production at ESPN to the on-air talent to the leagues, FIFA, UEFA, MLS, to the operations assistants or the grips who are running cable on site. And here's what made her different. She made every single one of those people feel seen. It didn't matter to her if you were the most senior executive, if you were on-air talent, or you're ingesting tapes for broadcast at 3 a.m. She knew your name. She knew what you did. And she recognized your contribution when it was appropriate. But most importantly, she could give hard feedback without destroying you or the relationship. When she needed to make changes or part ways with someone, it never ever felt confrontational. Even if the other person was confrontational. It was open, it was honest, and it was always respectful. Whoever you were, you walked away from a conversation with her knowing exactly where you stood. But you also felt like she cared about you as a human, not just the production. She created psychological safety that not a lot of us get to experience, especially in events. And when I was going through some really tough personal stuff, I was struggling mentally, physically, whole nother story, but I never once feared telling her. I knew I could be honest about what I was feeling or what I was going through without losing my job, being seen as weak, or having repercussions. That's why I could keep going. That's what made me want to work even harder for her when I already felt like I was at my limit. I watched her navigate conflicts and situations between leagues and teams and vendors and talent, and somehow everyone would walk away feeling heard. I mean, when I said I would run through brick walls for her, I think almost anyone that worked on the sport would have done the same. And I've been in this industry for almost 15 years now, over 15 years now, and I still have not met anyone like her. And then I got promoted at ESPN, and that's not title or money. It means I was assigned to a sport that had a lot more eyes on it, a much bigger budget, much bigger names on it. It was the reward. I had the same job, I had the same responsibilities, I had the same 24/7 pressure that I had with soccer, but everything fell apart. I went from thriving in the role to barely surviving in a matter of months. I was spiraling mentally, physically, emotionally. I felt like I didn't own my brain anymore. Everything belonged to the job, and if I let it slip even a little bit, I would lose it. And when I finally got some clarity, when I walked away from my dream job, I looked back and I realized that the job hadn't changed. It was the culture and the leadership that had changed. Without the foundation that soccer had, the trust, respect, the safety, everything that Amy built, the exact same work became unbearable. The pressure didn't change at all, but the support system completely disappeared. which is funny because even more people were working on the new sport, but it felt so isolating. I had to start asking myself every single day, how would Amy handle this? Funnily enough, I still do that to this day. Not everyone gets an Amy, but everybody deserves one. And I've learned since then that she wasn't born with that. Not totally. She made a decision every single day to lead that way, to see people, to value them, to create that safety, even when the stakes were impossibly high. And that means you can too. And so can I. We can be the leaders that our team would run through walls for. We can create the kind of environment where people do their best work, not out of fear, but because they genuinely want to. I mean, this is what I teach, and this is why I do the work that I do. So here's my question. Who is your Amy? Who's the leader who made you better just by working with you? More importantly, how do you become that person for your team? If you want to bring this kind of leadership training to your organization, please reach out. I facilitate workshops on building this kind of trust, navigating conflict and boundaries, and leading through relationships. Email me, Gabriella@proeventtips.com. Check out my website, and let me help you. Be the Amy. And I'll see you next week for episode 10.